We have the minutes from the February and March meetings to approve, and we did not have one for April.
I will make a motion to approve both the February 10th and March 10th minutes.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okie dokie. We have approval of the minutes for the February and March meetings. Do we have comments from guests? Okay, no comments from guests. John is not with us at the moment. We'll wait and see if he gets here. Jamie?
Good evening. If you guys would turn in your packet to the 4th page. This insurance information is from the planter that was hit by an unknown person at the corner of Lincoln Way and Michigan Avenue. You can see that we had a quote for $8,000. It was approved, however, our insurance took $1,000 of the insurance money for the deductible, which leaves us with $7,000. I have a quote attached from a company that can get this fixed ASAP for $8,000. So I'm coming to the bid asking for the $1,000 to make up the difference so that we can get that planter taken down to the 6-inch curbed planter, removal of the bricks, filling in the concrete where it is missing, and get it planted.
So basically, you're just asking us to cover the insurance deductible, because we've
Correct.
already approved all this.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And then, I'm not sure if you want me to come back for long-term.
No, you know
for
what? Go
this.
ahead and take care of this one right now while you're
Okay,
on.
so what you'll see on the next page is a lighted bollard, and behind that photo, you're going to see what we currently have in the Listitch area. And if you're not familiar with where that is the block between, from Lincoln Way to State on Monroe. So in the second picture, you'll see the tree grate, a tree, and then our electric. And I'm sure that this board is well aware that the electric in those tree planters is hit or miss. However, we do use it for Friday Night Lives as well as the farmers market. So with the support of the UEA and many members of the city, including some council members and department heads, I took on the responsibility of what would a fix be for that area that we're going to utilize as a meeting space, gathering space, event space going forward, so long term. And I came up with the idea of putting lit bollards in the tree wells, taking the trees out, moving the electric into those bollards that's already there, and having, instead of fuses, it's going to have a breaker on each one, which is going to save us in the long term money, because when that electric fails or needs to be, fixed, you use that breaker. We don't have to wait for an electrician, so there's no call. All of this will be funded. The bid will not have to pay for anything. The removal of the trees, the bollards, and we would fill in the tree grates with concrete, which goes along with our long-term planning anyway. And then that leaves space for planting spaces for us to see what's usable in the future, right? And where we would want to put them.
How many trees would we be removing?
5. There's already 3 that are down. 3 stumps, sorry, I had to get my wording there. 3 stumps that are currently there.
So 2 trees.
No, 8 altogether.
8 total, okay.
Correct. 5 trees would come down, 3 are already stumps. But keep in mind, on Monroe Street, there are already green spaces there. In the Mucho Moss parking lot, there's several up against Monroe Street. So there are several trees there. There's a little bit of, I don't know if it's decorative grass and things like that, that's already there. But long term, it looked like when you look at the pattern book, the green spaces were moved more toward the street, closer to the street, and having larger spaces. So I think this kind of goes in line with that. And note also that these are lit bollards, they're dusk to dawn. So when we're having events downtown at night, it's going to help light the sidewalks up a little bit more too. I just think currently the electric that we all have seen the small wooden boxes that are kicked over and they're unsightly, they don't look nice. And for a spot that we're going to be utilizing as a meeting space, I just think that this would look nice.
Do these match into our long-term plan as well?
Yeah, and these are very similar to 618 Plaza, so it kind of spills over from across the street into this meeting area as well.
How does this affect the one tree we were taking down?
The tree has already been taken down,
But we
so
had asked the owner for
we
assistance.
we did end up receiving a $600 donation for a tree to be used in the future
At another
wherever
location.
we choose to
Okay.
plant, yes.
Yeah, that's what I like about this is because we've replaced the electric in that area so many times. And I think this would be a good longer-term solution, but also it will give us the opportunity to check and see what type of larger planters would work in that area that we're planning to do for long-term, so that way we don't do a bunch for the long-term pattern book that doesn't actually work out in practicality. This would give us a good opportunity to test that out.
One other thing.
Yeah.
Do these protect the buildings if someone hits them? Or are these just strictly light? These aren't,
These are just lights, these
Okay.
are not.
these
yes.
wouldn't be the ones we would especially put at the corners or to take the place of a planter?
Correct.
Okay.
You said it's still going to have,
This is an opportunity to look at where we could plant them, going with the pattern book, right? So those future improvements.
those spaces we're not going to have trees in them.
Correct. I mean, that's similar to what I've seen from the pattern book, yes.
What type of trees are there that are coming down?
Currently, they are an invasive species. It is a calorie,
Oh, yeah.
Pear,
Ew.
Bradford
No,
pear.
good riddance.
yeah, yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Jamie?
Well, I mean, we're a maintenance board, so what potential maintenance would there be for us to be responsible for with these types of bollards, if anything?
Good question.
That is a great question. So in my opinion, if they're hit, that's gonna be insurance, right? I would say more than likely, if they were to fail, which MCOR reassured me that this is the way to go. I mean, I asked several questions. It would just be any repair to an electric, but I don't foresee that being an issue, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's putting breakers in so that we don't have to constantly call an electrician out there. So with the exception of an insurance claim, which wouldn't be you guys anyways, I don't foresee there being a ton.
No, I mean, it's not costing us anything at this level, and if anything, it's making our job a little easier going forward. We're removing trees that are probably gonna be removed at some point anyhow.
That's correct.
Yeah, the only thing that, as I'm catching up with you, those benches were gonna be perfect benches until you found boarders that knew how to run rails. And the trash cans were gonna be perfect trash cans until you realized the lids don't hang in there and third parties don't really care. So that's the only thing I'm looking at with the bollards.
Sure.
So are you saying that they will be bid property or they will not be bid property? It's on bid property,
Right, but
like light poles are not ours except for the top,
correct.
right?
So the
So I
city
didn't know if this would
maintains
fall
those.
under the light pole category or,
I think that's where we would want to look again at the bid agreement that we have.
okay,
And I did not bring that, I apologize.
no problem.
But it sounded like electric was bid.
Well, and I agree with the electric component,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also the actual
The
bollard.
actual bollard itself.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, that's what I was thinking of. So,
Yeah, I mean, that, I really I'll be honest, I didn't think of that question, so thank you.
So,
I should have a copy of that part of our agreement in my email.
I'm sure it mentions electric, but I'm sure it also doesn't mention electric bollards, because those didn't exist 20 years ago.
No, it does not mention the Ballard specifically.
if you applied logic, we were maintaining what was provided. This would be outside of that, other than the electrical that's being used. But I just, before we jumped in and said, yeah, I just wanted to be clear. Doesn't mean it's a no, but just be
Right.
clear if we're responsible for the bollard or not.
Right, it's also kind of a stopgap thing, temporary.
Yeah.
Between, I mean, we're winding down the usefulness of this board as it currently exists.
Yep.
I'm guessing whatever you're installing is still gonna be part of the long-term plan. It's not like you're putting something in to remove it. That could easily be factored in when they reconstitute or reconstructure this board.
Best thing I heard when I walked in was concrete.
What's the time frame, or when would this be done?
So my goal would be to have it done before the first farmer's market, which is the 25th of this month. I know that the bollards are about 2 weeks out, so
So you want an answer from us tonight?
yes, please.
All the trees have to, that means all the trees still have to be uprooted and then repositioned for the bollard to fit in and.
Correct. So what would happen is city tree crew would come out. We also have been instructed by MCOR, we would have an electrician on site while they are taking the trees out and then rooting them out. Because we're gonna pull that conduit out and away while they're doing the stump grinding. And then hopefully it's all gonna go hand in hand and work all at the same time. Fingers crossed. And then we would put, obviously, the bollard in, pull that electricity up in through that bollard, have it wired properly, and then fill in with concrete. There are anchors as well, I guess I should mention, that will anchor it down in there so that it's sturdy. And then fill in with concrete and smooth out the surface. Yep, everybody, I've talked with everybody, everybody's aware that this could potentially be happening.
And this will be a good opportunity for us to see how the concrete settles, which was one of my concerns with the long-term, where the trees were at, so.
Exactly.
How much do each of these cost? You know,
So what I can tell you is for all 8 bollards, it was approximately $9,500. And then for concrete, it was an additional like $300. I asked for a not to exceed $10,000
Okay.
from UEA funds.
so essentially, if one did get hit, it's within our deductible.
Correct.
So we are responsible if they are our responsibility.
If they're
Would
not
be my
our
thought.
responsibility, whose responsibility are they?
Well, I would assume it would be the city's responsibility and their insurance would have to cover it.
Right. Yeah.
I think we're probably in a position to say go forward with it, but I think at some point, we gotta clarify that answer, because it's not gonna be a question that pops up in the next, hopefully, year or 2 years. It's gonna be 5 years down the line, and somebody's gonna look back at the minutes and say, who's responsible for replacing these things? Maintenance on it, making sure the electric works, obviously, that falls under our, I guess I'd make a motion that we grant you permission per your request, but then ask for a follow-up clarification on who's responsible for the ownership of the bollards going forward.
Okay. And so we have a motion
You want more
to
than that,
grant
John, or-
permission.
I'm debating whether or not I want to say they are theirs. But I mean, we would take care of the, grant permission based on the fact we'll take care of electricity, you take care of the bollard.
I can amend my motion to say that.
I was just trying to think
Yeah,
about.
no, that way we're not, because,
Yeah.
again, we're gonna forget about this in a week, and it's not gonna show
And
up.
if they don't agree with this, then our, it's all mute anyway, but go ahead and amend, and I will second. Did he amend it? Okay, I second then.
Okay, so it's
Sorry.
amended to say that the bid will cover the electrical and the city will cover the ballard itself?
Yeah.
Yep. And seconded.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thanks, that's all I have.
Okay. And then flowers and planters, and with that, we're still on schedule to have the flowers planted as normal. Thank you, John. We still do have to wait for a few things to get settled with the flat planters before those can be taken care of, the new ones that we implemented this year. And so we will not get those planted until we get those situations fixed with the,
What date is that again, that they're going
he
in?
usually does a week or two after Mother's Day. That's after their season slows down. And I think that's it as far as the flowers and planters go. Trees.
Obviously, we just had the discussion on the 5 new trees that are gonna be removed. After last meeting, we had voted for the 1 tree to be removed with approaching the property owner. You heard the update there as far as them contributing $600. So between that and the project on Indiana, there's a lot of trees being removed downtown. So I think we need to be cautious about that. I think we did it the right way with the property owner that requested it. You know, we basically did a replacement type plan for it. This is another unique situation with the farmer's market area with those 5 being removed, but we also don't want to put the message out there that, hey, give us a call and we'll tear down the tree that you don't want anymore, not without having a plan going forward, so. That's it, nothing really else.
Okay, and then John, finances.
Just to, excuse me, to catch everybody up. The report that you have has January through April on there. I still don't have 100% clarity on on a couple of things that you'll see here. And talk to Jamie in the next day or week or so to make sure I get it all lined up. I think there were some things that we paid in the early part of '25 that were encumbered over, but I need to make sure I get the same amounts and get them all lined up. So that being said, this is kind of the gross activity, maybe not the exact accounting for 2025 because of that. So I understand we received in January $7,000 from the insurance company, and from what I gather, that repair has not yet been done, okay? Other than that,
Real quick on that.
Yes.
Before you came in, we approved the $1,000 deductible, so that 7 will be paid, but then we're also paying 1,000 in
Okay.
addition.
okay, so we got 8,000 going out.
Right.
Okay. On the rest of the revenues, it was just interest. Hopefully, everybody made their tax payments last week. Otherwise, we got anywhere between $140 and $160, $70 a month in interest. There is a year-to-date total almost to the right-hand edge, and so far this year, we've got $632 of interest, basically. We paid out expenses, $300 to Lindsay, and that was the wrap-up of '24, but it was not paid until January of '25, and that was not encumbered over. And then we spent quite a bit of money with repairs to electrical outlets in January. About $11,000 went out for that. And then there was, I think, an insurance disbursement and that 13,000, not all that 13,000 in April, but a good chunk of that 13,000 in April, I believe, was a repair from 24 carried over to 25. So we spent quite a bit in the first 4 months, being that it was a light snow year. We got $37,400 that went out for what I call the repairs and maintenance of the sidewalks. And that's just basically anything that's not a planter. We also had our annual insurance of $5,300. That's our portion of the premium, which was $700 more than we had budgeted. So we've moved $700 out of maintenance to cover it. So all in all, we had a fairly expensive first part of the year compared to prior years. And that totaled a little bit more than 40,000 for that time frame. We will cover that probably in late June, early July, when the May tax payment gets put in. So if you figure we run another 100,000 the rest of the year from here, and that first draw breaks us even, we're gonna go about $50,000 to $60,000 over compared to what that second draw is gonna be. So we could easily be down in the $40,000 cash range by the end of the year, which would give us one more year of this elevated expenses, and then the answer will be no. So just as a kind of how we're walking through at this point. So final wrap up to that is we've got 90, not quite, but almost 95,000 in cash, and we are still allowed, based on our budget, to spend another 106, almost 107,000. Based on a conversation that I will have with Jamie, there might be another 9 or 10,000 that gets attributed backwards that we would still have for this year as well. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
And we've missed you.
I'm glad to be out in the daylight.
You have survived.
Do have a couple of vouchers. I was going to catch up with Lindsay. I'm not sure because I've not been here. I don't know how many months if she's been here every time.
She's been doing the minutes, but from home.
Oh.
Maternity leave.
Okay, not a problem then. And then I think I've got Amy's invoices for the last 3 weeks of April and the first week of May. And that totals $500 a week, $2,000 total. And as of right now, that's really the only invoice that I have. So.
Make a motion to approve the, is it all just the Mofield?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, long-term design. Jamie, do we have anything else besides the ballards, the lighted ballards? Okay. And then old business. To my knowledge, we do not have any old business. Do we have any new business? Business? Do we have any announcements? And, Clinton, I believe you're up. Oh, yeah, we're at, adjournment.
Your favorite part of the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. We will see you guys next month on June 9th.